Hi, all my students. Today I am going to actually lecture you about human anatomy and physiology. Actually, I have prepared some slides for you. Like anything, you can feel free to ask me. In the meanwhile, I'll be writing over this whiteboard to explain to you what today's class is all about. All right. So today I have prepared what we call human anatomy and physiology. And in this chapter 1, we're going to cover the human organism. Okay. First thing first, you need to know what is anatomy, physiology, because we always say both together, anatomy and physiology. We used to say this together, and this is very important in the term of foundation or biology or basic. If you're taking, let's say you want to be a pharmacist, you want to be a nurse, you wanted to be a doctor, you need to know the background of human anatomy and physiology, as this is very important. Even a physiotherapist or whatsoever in medical healthcare profession, you need to know the term, both term need, we have to know this. Okay, and then we're going to see how the structural and functional of this organization and characteristic of life and homeostasis. All right, all this are what I'm going to cover for you today. Right. Okay, first I'm going to explain to you. This is a study, a knowledge of anatomy and physiology which can be used to predict the body responses to stimuli when healthy or disease. Okay, so human anatomy, we will be studying this, a scientific discipline which investigates the structure of body. The word anatomy bermaksud dissection. Okay, dissection, or what we call as separation. Okay, we cut the part out, we separate the part apart. That is what anatomy means. And anatomy covers a wide range of studies and the processes and the structure of the body in a microscopic organization way. It means we go through very, very deeply inside the cells, and that is what anatomy is all about. While physiology is the scientific discipline that deals with the processes or function of the living thing. Okay, this is a study. Anything that comes with logy means study. So this is the study of that functions and the process yang the living thing is doing. So this part we will dissect the human organism, and this part we will be studying about what we have dissected previously. So that is the entire process about this. So physiology is divided according to the organism involved or the level of organization within a given organism. Therefore, this human physiology is the study of a specific organism of the human, whereas cellular and systemic physiology are the example of the physiology that emphasize the specific organization. Okay, so as far as I concerned, we always say this word together. Okay, so where we will be seeing today is the chapter 1, the manner we will be seeing what is all about the basic human is. Okay, all right. So when we call it anatomy as the study in the structure of the body, and regional, we study every part of it. We won't be studying the entire part. Let's say we take a part, we will be studying only that part. And in the anatomy, we have every single part explained in detail. So what we're going to see today is the basic part of each of this system. So in the systemic region, so we are going very deep. We're going to go very deep, and we're going to see every one by one part of this in this subject. Okay. So let me explain to you about the next part, which is the most important part. So this is physiology, the study of the processes and the functions of the human body, and the structure. Okay. Now, human body can be organized into 6 levels. Okay, we can separate our body into 6 levels, where we're going to see from the very, very basic level called chemical. Okay, so chemical. Okay, the chemical level of the human body. And then the next will be the cell level of the human body. And the tissue becomes organ becomes system. We call it organ system, means each organ combines to form a system. And finally, organism. All right. Okay. This is a very, very basic and important part, because once you know this is a knowledge we're going to carry forever as a person who are going to be in healthcare. So if you are going to work as a pharmacist, as a psychologist, as a doctor, as a nurse, or medical imaging, physiotherapist, you're going to carry this knowledge entire throughout your life. Okay, so you have to know where and how it started and how this thing can form. God is a very, very Tuhan ni, how do we call it, Maha Berkuasa. So he's very, very divine. He is very, very magical. So he created us in a very complex way, from the very basic level of chemical, and this is how we're going to form as an organism. So throughout how we are going to join, this is what we're going to see. Chemicals are the atoms and the molecules level of us. Okay, all right. Atom. What is atom? Proton, neutron, electron. Okay, this is actually physics, but physics coming into chemistry, forming biology. So this is how entirely science works in this way. Okay, so this proton, neutron, and electron, example H. Okay, positive ion. O, what oxygen, negative ion. Hydrogen and oxygen, which is negative ion, forming water. And water is a substance which made up 70% of our human body. So this is how entirely physics, chemistry works to form us, human body, biology. So if you want to know biology, definitely you need to know from the very level of basic, and that is where chemical come into the formation. Next level is the cell. Cell is the basic unit of life. As all we all know, cell is the very basic unit of life, and it forms an organelles. Okay, cell works to form organelles. Organelles meaning in our cell we have nucleus, we have mitochondria, and this mitochondria is actually, it will form energy calling adenosine triphosphate ATP, and this ATP carries our food, the energy which has been processed. So it carries, and then all this happens in our human body. All right, and this as a many and in a many formation, a cell functions in such way. Example, a cell, it has membrane, it has nucleus, it has DNA, it carries our DNA. So this entire cell comes from the very chemical basic of chemics. So chemical atom and molecules form the cell. So this a group of chemical became the cell. So this is how cell forms. Okay. Now this cell level, it is made up similar cell group. Okay. Example, similar cell. Okay, when they join together, they form tissue. All right. Now, from from a very chemical level, from a very atom, now we form into cell, and now a few cells join to form the tissue. Tissue is a similar cells and surrounding materials of it. Any part of the cell, it works together. It functions exactly the same way, will become the tissue, and that is how the tissue will start to form. Okay, so these are the characteristic of them, and the many tissues that made up will become the four primary tissues. These four primary tissues are very, very important to form this one. Bukan this one level down, system. Okay, epithelial tissue, the first one, human largest organ, skin. So the epithelial tissue forms the skin. All right. Next is our muscular tissue, muscles. It forms muscles. All right. The muscular tissue. The third one is connective tissues. Connective tissues. Now, epithelial, the skin level, muscles, connective tissues, together nervous tissue. Okay, these are the four primary, very important classification of the tissues. Okay, for these are only tissues I will be covering in your chapter 4. So chapter 4 is all about only tissues. So at the moment we need to understand how this forms. Okay, one moment. Okay, now two or more tissues going to performs the same function again. If you see, everything comes from a very basic, and they all act in the same way. So cell became tissue, now tissue becomes organ. Okay, organ level. Okay, so two or more tissues that works together, they have this common function, they will be an organ. Okay, and group of organ yang ada common function will become the system. So here, organ is composed of two or more types of tissues that perform one common function. Okay, two or more tissues function there, different two or more different tissues are having one common function, that is organ. So this is the definition of organ. Okay, and example is like the urinary bladder, stomach, eyes, and heart are the example of the organs. Okay, all right. Now system. Okay, please focus on the system because system is everything. They are already like very large part of the human already. Okay. Now system is a group of organ that classified as a unit because of the common function. Okay. Now here here we have connective tissue, muscular tissue. Okay. Epithelial tissue and nervous tissue. Okay. The common functions together, example like urine. Okay, the kidney is producing the urine. Okay, now what are the process that involves in the production of the urine? What are the processes that involves in the production of the urine? We need a transporter, which is the urethra. We need a place to store it, which is the urinary bladder. So kidney, okay, urethra, okay, urinary bladder is all individual organs. Okay, these three are the individual organs, and these three works as a whole system of excretion. Here, here, they are all composed of same similar kind of tissues. Okay, if they are not similar kind of tissues, they cannot function as an organ themselves. And now every one of them are individual organs. Urinary bladder is one single organ, urethra is one single organ, and kidney is a one single organ. And all these three single organ joints to form the system. And this system, we call it as an excretion system. So this is how system has been made. And in this organ system, the coordinated activity of the organ system is very important to form the normal function. And this is one part of the system. We have integumentary system. Okay, integumentary system, it's going to provide the protection and regulates the temperature for the water loss hydration process. We have skeletal system to provide support and allow the body to move. We have muscular system to maintain our posture and produces body heat. We have lymphatic system, a very important system in our shoulder. Please remember that lymphatic system, if it's causing a blockage, it is going to cause an abscess. So this lymphatic system, and then next is respiratory system to exchange the oxygen and carbon dioxide in our body. And then we have digestive system. So we have so many systems that combine to form the entire characteristic of life. All right, we have nervous system, we have endocrine system composed of all the hormones. Nervous system, we all know, brain, spinal cord, nerve, sensory receptor. We have cardiovascular system, and the cardiovascular composes of heart, blood vessel and blood. We have urinary system, like we explained just now, the excretion process. Female reproductive system, we have mammary gland, we have vagina, we have ovary, we have uterus. And male reproductive sexual system, we have testes, we have accessory structures, we have ducts and penis. So all these are individual organs, and when they form, the individual organs become one system. And now all these systems, six system at the a part and another six system at another part, together 12 systems. Okay, 12 systems, 12 department, they form a big department to become one organism, and that is us, human. All right. So to form us, it is not easy because we come from a very, very, very minute, tiny chemical process, and then we form as a cell, we evolve as a tissue, and together we function to become an organ, and then few organs work together to form the system, and finally all the system has to work together to form one organism. So this part is very, very crucial because the next is what we're going to see, how all these 12 departments correlate, intercommunicate, and internally they are working together to give characteristic of life. All right, give me a second. Let me go into the characteristic of life. If anyone has any question, feel free to drop in. If no, then I'll proceed. All right. Now, in this characteristic of life, again, six. Number six is playing a role. Okay. We have six essential characters: organization, metabolism, all right, responsiveness, growth, developmental, and reproduction. Okay, so atoms, molecules became micromolecules, micromolecules form into macromolecules, and macromolecules forms an organelle turns into a cell became tissue became organ became system, and finally became organism, to give all these six essential characteristics. Okay, what are the characteristics? First thing, organization. Organization is a condition where the part of organism has specific relationship and interact to perform the function. Okay, this is the hierarchy of the life. Okay, so the whole large molecule forms from a very single organism, and then we form it, and destruction of this organization state will result in loss of function and death. Okay, if if a human body part, okay, heart, kidney, reproduction, all these organs, okay, digestive system, all these organs, okay, when they are into their organization and they are working in a very coordinate way, suddenly something ruptured the process, suddenly something interferes the process, they couldn't function properly. This can state in a loss of function. This can result in loss of function, and any organ that fails to function properly will eventually rupture the entire system and causes death. So death, okay, death doesn't happen immediately. Death will never happen on the spot. Death will never happen on one day, on one click, unless, okay, unless accident. Okay, you you got an accident and your organs have been ruptured badly and it cannot function, then you'll face death. Otherwise, we are the one who invite death. We are the one who invites death. Our food, our culture, our habits, our living culture, our living style invites death. Example, smoking, alcohol, drugs, obesity, all these habits, okay, it goes into the system slowly to the organ, slowly to the tissue, and when it goes to the cell level, it start causing cancer, then the whole system gets ruptured and eventually we invite death. So that doesn't happen just like that. This is what we have to understand. The second part is the metabolism. Okay, metabolism defines the definition, guys. The definition is the ability to use the system energy to perform vital function. Okay, how our body using the energy to perform the important functions like growth, movement, and reproduction. Okay, like plants, they capture the energy from the sunlight, and we human we obtain the energy from our food. That is very obvious. And what are our energy sources? Carbohydrate, protein, fats, mineral. All these are our energy sources. And these things goes a process. They go through a process. I'll explain the process in your chapter 6. A process what we call food has been break down into chemical level, and they become the adenosine triphosphate ATP, and then they produce energy to our body. This is how the metabolism process works. Okay. Next is responsiveness, the ability to sense the environmental change and make adjustment to maintain the life. Okay, so how the body the body is responding to some changes. All right. Example. Okay, you accidentally carry a kettle which is hot. When you touched, the immediate response, it will be carried by your nerve system, your nerve ending. So your pain receptor, your touch receptor, they will give the signal to your body, and your brain detects it as a flight and fright response, and immediately you will take off your head. So these are the responses where your body's your body is able to sense there's a danger for the organs. Okay, prolong of holding the hot kettle, what's going to happen? You're going to lose your nerves. So this is the way the body protects itself. That means we as a human, we don't have to do much to protect of ourselves. Our body knows how to protect ourselves. And that is the basic instinct that it gives to protect us. Okay? So responses includes the way how the organism can make adjustment to the environment. Okay? Hot environment, our sweat glands will produce a sweat, and once we sweat, our body cools down. So the temperature changes bukan kita yang we are the one who actually know that the environment is hot. We only know after our body starts to sweat. Okay? So the body gives the signal and the sweat makes us discomfortable. And when we are sleeping, we can wake up halfway and then we will sense, oh, I'm sweating. But what will happen? Usually, what will happen? We will increase the aircon. We'll put the fan. We'll try to cool down. We'll drink ice water to cool our body. All right. This is what we'll do. But what we are doing is actually just an addition to the process because our body already know what to do and it has already produced the sweat. If you what will happen if you just biarkan, if you just leave it as it is, the body, the sweat, your sweat will start to cool down, and from that your body temperature will drop and you will start to be normal again. So this is how our body starts to actually um, give the responses to adapt to the situation. All right, so that's growth. Okay, growth means increases in size of all parts of the organism. All right. We as a human in 6 years old, we as a human in 36 years old, we as a human as a 77 years old, we are not going to be the same. But growth will happen in a process, and after one point, the growth will stop and the growth will start to deteriorate. Okay? It will start to lose the function. And method of growth is by increase in number of cells. Okay, the cell number will increase, the size of the cell will increase, and the substance surrounding the cell, like the bone marrow, the matrix, increases. Okay, this is a normal growth. Okay, in any event of disruption of the organ's function, okay, there will be abnormal growth. And this abnormal growth, we have two types, benign and tumor. Okay, abnormally, this will happen. The number of cells will increase, the size will increase, the substance surrounding it will increase, all this will happen. Okay, so the growth in a very positive way, the normal growth, is where we as a 6 years old transforming into a 12-year-old kid. In this process, we will face the normal growth. Our organs will start to grow, we'll start to eat more, we'll start to feel the weight, and this is how our body functions. Then we have developmental. Okay. Developmental is the changes an organism undergoes through the time. Okay. Um okay. It includes the changes where the organism begins with the fertilization and end to the death. So it's a cycle of a process. Okay. Developmental usually involves with the growth, but it also involves with the differentiation. And differentiation is a change in the cell structure and the function from generalized to specialized. And Example, upon fertilization, generalized cell became a specific type of cell and then they form the tissue. These general cells suddenly will become a special cell. Some will become the skin, some will become the bone, some will become the muscle, and some will become the nerve. So this how is actually something we couldn't actually determine. This is like actually things that even our science can't explain. It's an unexplained theory in science, but this is how the developmental process will happen. Okay, and then the last stage is reproduction, the formation of the new cell. Okay, reproduction. Without the reproduction of the cell, the growth, the tissue repair are impossible. Okay, and without the reproduction of the organism itself, the species will become extinction. Okay, so it is very important for the growth and tissue repair. Example, you get a cut in your body and then the cut remains open. It cannot be forever open wound. Okay, at a point your body will immediately start to reproduce new cells to close back the wound. That is how the reproduction works. And this formation is very important for our growth and the tissue repair. So every organ will somehow try to fix on its own for the damage that we created to into it. Okay. Example, you wanted to diet, you wanted to be thin, so you started a habit of skipping your meals. Every time hydrochloric acid is secreting in your stomach, your lining started to have the corrosion. Your stomach lining started to have a corrosion. Your body, your stomach will constantly produces new cells to actually close back what you have been losing. And however, at one point, if your organs start to give up, it stops into the reproduction. That's where you will have ulcer. That is where you will be taking external medication to support your body, because when the stomach stomach organ alone, okay, faces error, it will rupture the entire digestive process because they all work together to form as one organism. So if one person can't work properly, the other person automatically start to fail. Who? The next person will be the liver. So, and then it will go to the gut, it will go to the small intestine, it will go to the large intestine. So, who are the one who create the damage? We. And who is fixing it? The body itself. When the body fails, then we will be realizing, and by the time we realize, it's already too late. So, never carry habits like smoking, alcohol, taking alcohol, skipping your meal in the name of diet. Please don't do all this. Okay, please don't create damages to your organism, to your cells, to your organ, if you really respect the God who actually produces you. Alright? Okay. Homeostasis. Now, after forming all this characteristic of life, okay, we go to a very, very important thing where we call homeostasis. Okay. No homeostasis process, we won't be alive. That is how much homeostasis is important, and it is actually working from behind. So basically, we won't know much what is happening without our knowledge. It is just happening. Okay, this word is very very important. Homeostasis. The definition is the existence and the maintenance of the relatively constant environment within the body. Okay, internal body has its own environment. Okay, temperature 37 degrees Celsius. Now, body can only function properly in this temperature. Temperature goes up, dangerous. Temperature drops, dangerous. Body has to have adequate water. Okay. Less water, dehydration, dangerous. More water, water intoxication, also dangerous. Okay, so all this process, okay, this process is the one who maintains, is the one who maintain everything. Okay, most cells are surrounded by a small amount of fluid, and normal cell function depends on the maintenance of this fluid environment within a narrow range. And what it is actually being maintained? The temperature, the volume, and the content, chemical content. So do not spoil the chemical content with your external contents like fermented beer, taking external fermented food. Do not. If it's a probiotic, it is very good for your body. But if it's not probiotic, do not take, and you are going to alter the chemical content of the body. So these three things are very important. Okay, then the variables, the condition that can change. Okay, so when your body temperature increases in heat, and the body temperature will decreases in cold, and the set point is the normal body temperature. The body mechanism do not keep the value precisely, but they will fluctuate slightly around it. So when you check your temperature, you won't get 37 precisely, but maybe you will get 36.6, which is close to 37 degrees Celsius. So it will work around it, but it won't work accurately. Alright. So if you have like 37.1, that is you already like a bit feverish. So because your temperature is slightly this, but you are still considered to be normal. So this is how the body function. And what mechanism is used to regulate? By sweating or shivering. Sweating is to cool down, shiver is to warm up. And the organ system work together to provide the oxygen and the necessary nutrients, and they also remove the waste. So this is how they regulate, this is how they work together in this process of homeostasis. So homeo means same, and stasis means existence. So same existence, which means same maintenance, constant within the body. So in this process, we will have two types of feedback. We will call it negative feedback and positive feedback. Negative feedback does not prevent the variation, but it will maintain the variation. Okay. So like your body temperature, your blood pressure, how it is moving from your body, that is the control center. Okay. So we have a receptor, we have control center, and we have effector. So one person works as a receptor. It will monitor the value. One person works as a control center, that is the brain. It will establish the set point, and another person will work as an effector. This effector will cause the changes of the value of the variable. Okay, and another thing is what? Positive feedback mechanism. These are not homeostatic. Okay, these are rarely in healthy individuals, and it happens like positive. Usually, it's like a cycle of the homeostasis, and some in some cases, yes, it will cause death. Okay. 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 So a simple knowledge. All right, a simple information for you. Okay. The shared characteristic. Human shares many traits with other organisms, and much knowledge about human comes from the studying of other organisms. And studying of bacteria actually provides a lot of information about our organ. So not only bacteria, we before bacteria there is this thing called one single strand of DNA virus. Okay, bacteria is still two strands. So virus, this is a very 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 dangerous thing. Okay, this single strand of RNA. Okay, this single strand of RNA. From this, we started to study about DNA, deoxyribonuclease, and then nucleic acid. That is the definition of DNA. So we know about us by studying on bacteria, about human, about animals. We got to know about ourselves, and studying about mammals allow the progress of open heart surgery. So open heart surgery is something when after we start to study about mammals, zebra, a lot of animals, all these mammal animals, that is where we actually had the ideology of open heart surgery. We got the technique, most of the technique through the animals. And however, this has a very big limitation because organisms are different. Eight different organisms work and function in a very different way, and ultimate answers for some questions can be only obtained through studying we directly. That means when you perform in the human, in the actual realized case, you will know better. So at this point, okay, as first subject of anatomy and physiology, because this is a very very big topic, you need to know about terminology and the body plan. Okay, so body position, anatomic position. All right, so a person who is lying down, the face upward, is a supine position. Okay, and prone, we call it prone when they lie face downward. Okay, this position language, the terminology is very important. If you are, especially if you are in uh physiotherapist or medical imaging, if you are in this both two healthcare related field, you're gonna go, you need to understand the body position, because the doctor's not going to tell please turn the patient around. They're going to say position the patient in supine. That's how it's going to sound. So you have to know the positions, and these positions will affect the descriptions of the body part relative to each other. So anatomic position means the elbow is above the hand, okay, like this. All right, this is anatomic position. All right, and in the supine or the prone position, it has to be the other way around. Okay, so to avoid the confusion, the descriptions will be always based from the anatomic position. Okay, and then we have a directional. All right, directional, we have superior, inferior, anterior, and posterior. Okay, superior, inferior, anterior, and posterior. Four important terminology. If you are studying about human heart, you're going to study about the, so you will see these words like superior vena cava. You will find this kind of words when we are going to the heart. So I'll explain to you how. But now, as a very very basic foundation, students, you need to know these basic four terms. First, superior, inferior, and anterior and posterior. Okay, all right. Anterior means before. Okay, before, and ventral means belly. So we use ventral, anterior ventral, before the belly. Okay, it has to be like that. And dorsal means back. So if you are standing, okay, if you are standing, this is anterior, and this, okay, this is dorsal. So this is anterior because we have the belly here. Okay, so our belly is here, so ventral position is here. So this is anterior side, and this is posterior side, which is the dorsal. Okay, superior means up, inferior means down. All right, and proximal means nearest, distal means far, distant. Okay, so for proximal, distal, you need to know this language. And medial means midline, lateral means away from the midline. Okay, so all this body part, the regions, you have to understand very very well. And a number of terms will be used into a different body part. All right, arm extended from the shoulder to elbow, forearm is from the elbow to the wrist, lower limb divided into thighs, leg and ankle, thigh extend from hip to knee, and the leg extend from knee to ankle. So every part, all right. And the central region of the body, we have head, neck, trunk. Trunk is chest, thorax, abdomen, and pelvis. Okay, and all our human body. Okay, if let's say you're a forensic student, you'll use the word cadaver. Cadaver means the body, the human body. All right, and if you are having this cadaver and you're going to dissect the abdomen, you will call it like, abdomen is often subdivided into four quadrants. Okay, we have horizontal and vertical, intersects with the navel. All right, and it forms the upper, right upper, left upper, right lower, left lower. So you have to understand this four quadrant. All these are the languages that we will use, but in my classes I will be preferred to use the layman for you to have the understanding first, and later you can slowly get the memorize, you can memorize the actual words for you to write in exam. So before writing, first you have to understand how the concepts work. So you don't understand the concept, you cannot write in your exam. So get your pemahaman first, you get your comprehension first, and then you can later have your the way you wanted to write it accordingly. Okay. Okay, let me see if I have missed any part. All right. As far as I concerned, there was no parts being missed. Let me explain. When you are doing your self study, you can go through more into the terminology and body plan. All right, and then you have to look into this planes, body cavity, and serous membrane. This part I haven't covered yet because on the second chapter, the basic chemistry, we'll be seeing this more. So let me go little by little so that you'll have the digestion. I mean, I want you have to be able to digest the information. So let me go this slowly. All right. Okay. So now the summary. Let's recap the entire thing. All right. As we know, human anatomy and physiology is a knowledge of anatomy and physiology which can be used to predict the body's responses to stimuli when healthy or diseased. Okay, so a patient diseased or a patient is healthy, we will be using this anatomy and physiology to explain that the term. Anatomy is the study of the structure of the body. Systemic anatomy is the study of the body by the organs and the systems, and regional anatomy is the study of the body by area. All right. Surface anatomy uses superficial structures to locate deeper structure. And anatomic imaging is a non-invasive method for examining the deep structures. Physiology is the study of process and function of the body. Anatomy means cut, anatomy means dissect, anatomy means separate the parts, and physiology means study the function and process of the part that you cut and dissect. Very simple. Okay. The human body is organized into six levels: chemical level, atoms and molecules; cell, tissue, group of similar cells works together to form the tissue; organ, two or more tissues perform one similar common function; system, group of organs performing one common function; and then organism, we ourselves. And 11 organs, 11 systems are the integumentary system, skeletal system, muscular system, nervous system, endocrine system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, respiratory, digestive system, urinary system, and reproductive system. All these 11 organs form an organism, human. Characteristic of life includes organization, metabolism, responsiveness, growth, development, and reproduction. Homeostasis is a condition in which body function, fluid, and other factors of internal environment are maintained within a range of value suitable to support the human life. Make sure you drink enough water. Make sure you prevent your body from having dehydration, and make sure you are not altering the chemical level of your body or disrupting the human body temperature. Okay. Negative feedback mechanism operates to maintain the homeostasis. Positive feedback mechanism makes deviation from normal even greater. Although a very few positive feedback mechanisms are normally exist in the body, most positive feedback mechanisms are harmful. All right. So I have 6 minutes more for you for the recording to end the session. Do you have anything to ask? Is anyone having any question? Do you have anything to ask? You can actually type your questions and send me. And I'm going to give you some questions. Try to find out the answers if you are when you're free. All right? Okay. All right. If you can see the whiteboard, I have write four words: superior, inferior, anterior, and posterior. Okay. So explain each terms by giving the diagram in a diagrammatical way. Means draw it out for me how superior, inferior, anterior, and posterior positions look alike in a human body term. Okay, meaning you need to draw for me the human body, and you have to label it. Okay, the directional term. All right. Do it in a proximal and distal way, in ventral position and dorsal position. Meaning you draw the ventral position, show me what is anterior and posterior, and then you draw the dorsal position, show me what is inferior and superior, and then also show me what is proximal and distal. So this will be the work, the homework, because this body part, this languages, I just go through with you very basically. So if you do self study on this, I think this will be very on the terminology and body plan. It will be very effective self study for you. It's going to give you a very good understanding for you. So go through this so that it will be even better. And then as for the planes, define what is sagittal plane, median plane, transverse plane, frontal plane. And then into the sections, explain what is oblique section, transection, cross section, and longitudinal section. Okay, explain all these four sections and also draw out the human body plane. Give me ventral, dorsal postures. Also, when you're doing the reading, read about the body cavity. Okay, body has many cavities like the nasal cavity, and then we have thoracic cavity. All right, we have abdominal cavity. So go through about these cavities, because coming into chapter 6, you will be having more about the cavities. So make it as an introduction for yourself, and also get the subdivision of the abdomen. You don't have to do the deeper one, just do the basic one. All right, and label which one is the right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, and left lower quadrant. All right, this is very important. Okay, it's very easy. It's very easy. So if I show you, all right, you just have to put the abdomen. All right, you have to put a line, one straight line, horizontal line. It's already upper and lower already. All right, you have already labeled the upper and lower. Now you just have to put another line, and you're going to show me which one is the right upper quadrant and left upper quadrant. All right, of course you know which one is right